So for me, there's two words actually that come to mind. The first one is humbling. It's been a humbling experience. And the second would be rewarding. And they both tie in really closely. So the humbling component is when we started this journey, I think as a team, as a leadership team, and as an agency, we were all very proud of the commitment, the collaboration, and the knowledge of our community. And once we started on this journey, it really evolved and took our knowledge of the community. It took our knowledge as working as a leadership team as a whole to a whole other level. And so I think that's been the humbling component of it. The second piece of that, where really the rewarding and the humbling continue, is the part where when we receive the feedback reports, it gives us this whole new perspective, and it really is important to see what areas, what partners, hear new ideas that we haven't thought of as a group, and so that's been very rewarding.
What impact has your participation in C.O.E. had on your community thus far?
Well, one thing that I saw from our community is how really they embraced this framework. So they embrace this methodical approach this framework brings, and the defining of approaches and processes to tackle the needs of the community. So there was a big embracing of this, and we saw several examples. For example, in our work groups that were developed, the chronic disease work group, for example, everyone embraced the data that was being shared. They got together to collaborate and think about what the focus should be, and to think about their strengths and what they have done in the past, what current efforts are underway, and to see how that could be leveraged. So they used the framework, they thought about those questions, and they really defined what they wanted to do. So it's something that I observe and I appreciate it.
Can you please describe your community's overall experience with Communities of Excellence, and what were some of the high points?
Well, Kanawha County, West Virginia, when we started our Communities of Excellence journey, we thought we knew our community very well. But what the framework for Communities of Excellence does, it requires you to answer some tough questions about your community. And what we learned, or some of the highlights that we have learned in the process, is that the folks that live in different areas of our county have different requirements and needs, where we were approaching it with a broad brush kind of approach. And we now understand our residents a little bit better than we did before. And we also understand our customers. We were thinking the residents were only customers, but we have almost 12,000 people commuting into our area to work every day. So we have to consider those commuters, and we have to consider the other visitors that come to our county for entertainment and recreation. So it's been an eye-opener, and we have began to talk about strategies on how to put in place for each of those different sectors.
Okay, are there any other high points that have come out as a result of your involvement with C.O.E.?
There are many in the works, and one will be inviting others to the table that we have been trying for years to get to the table. And now we have some good ideas about how to make that happen, and we look forward to what's going to happen in our second year of Communities of Excellence.
And what was one positive outcome of your involvement in C.O.E. that you weren't expecting?
So I am working on population health, which is at first, multiple people had different definitions of what population health is. And really, population health is wellness of the community, and also it's the care of every community member from birth to death. And what happened was, when we started creating these relationships with the Communities of Excellence, we started creating relationships. And then we started talking about things like monies. We talked about some of our issues. We talked about commonalities that we had that really, if you looked the year before, 5 years before, there was complete silos. In other words, that an example would be our behavioral health department. We never really knew what they did. And here I am from a hospital, and we have our own behavioral health, And we were able to come up with solutions, and actually we did, with all the stakeholders in mental health in Kings County, we did a mapping of mental health. And so we were able to look at where some of our gaps in care are and where some of our opportunities to improve our care for our patients.
Can you please describe one thing that you were apprehensive about before you embarked with COE, and how has it turned out for you and your organization and your community?
My apprehensiveness was that we would not be able to achieve continued cooperation or attendance or participation in our community. And so we're just starting. We don't know how that's what the outcome will be, but that has been my most apprehensiveness.
And I think from my perspective, I was new to the organization at our hospital, and I really didn't know anybody in the community. So when Molly presented Community of Excellence with a Baldrige background, I got very excited about that and thought, this is where we want to be. So some of the apprehension was pulling our work groups together and getting everybody to the table together. And that apprehension quickly dissolved into, commonality and common ground and wanting to do the right thing for our community. And it has just continued to expand. Even though we're very, very new on this journey, we already have a good roadmap, and it has helped me with my organization to get to the table with the city manager, with the school districts, with the other people in our community that we know are going to be really, really instrumental to our success.
We were the third community to join the Communities of Excellence work. And we've already seen improvements in Kanawha County through our work around clarifying our vision and understanding the requirements of our different community segments. We've strengthened our implementation plan. We're working to help our community better use resources by aligning and integrating the work that we're doing. And we're focusing on results. And I think Communities of Excellence has a really great opportunity to help lead the nation in identifying results that can be helpful to measure our work in our communities. So Kanawha County is already a stronger community as a result of using the Communities of Excellence framework. If we don't do this for our communities, it's going to impact every one of our other sectors. It's going to impact healthcare. It's going to impact our ability for businesses to be successful. It'll impact our education system. So Communities of Excellence really does provide us a strong foundation for not only health in our communities, but for successful organizations as well.
Hi, can you please describe your community's overall experience with Communities of Excellence, and what were some of the high points?
Yeah, so our Community of Excellence journey started about a year ago. We didn't have a collaborative that was already in place. And so really our experience is really trying to form a brand new collaborative. And honestly, the response was really positive. What we heard over and over again was that, are we ready for this conversation? Yes, we absolutely are. We've tried to get this dialogue started in the past. And so engagement with community members really wasn't difficult. Trying to understand what it is we were achieving and not jump right to what we were going to fix was the discipline that we had to kind of instill upon our team. So really using the criteria to even set the stage to what we needed to do. I think surprised a lot of folks that we didn't have a really cohesive sense of what our community profile was. We didn't have a community strategy. We didn't have community metrics that we all agreed that were important. So foundationally, was really where we began about a year ago. The one thing I've really enjoyed the most is not only the energy and the synergies that we've seen within Toledo, but also getting to learn from the other communities. So for instance, West Kendall and San Diego have been really gracious with their time and helping us to learn what worked for them when we kind of started to run into some roadblocks. And understanding some of the resources that they used allowed us to ask more specific questions of some of our community partners. So that's been kind of a real highlight, that you don't anticipate that cascading impact, not just in your own community, but then in the other communities that you're working with.
Culture around leveraging existing resources to improve their individual outcomes, but the community's outcomes, to me, that I've seen has been the greatest excitement. And when you have co-opetition market, where these were organizations that ordinarily in the past would compete with each other, and had different modalities of how to approach to make themselves better, but realizing there was one overarching common language, common approach, the Communities of Excellence, and then it really unfolded their opened their eyes to the opportunity that by understanding the elements of the Baldrige framework in a community, starting with the organizational community profile, and then being part of that leadership team together, driving, if you will, how their employees and their partners were coming together, all the way to measuring impact and that evaluation, has been truly exemplary, to the point where now we see that as our model for the rest of the entire county, and rolling out the southern part of our county where this started, for a population of approaching well over 500,000 lives, to now the other parts of our county, communities seeing that, again, by leveraging existing resources of how they were doing that, we're improving lives more than any one of them could have done individually. And that, to me, by far, improving lives and saving money has been really a stellar accomplishment. As for South, I don't, and I say that sincerely. There's no script. I'm just telling you the way I see it. The other would be, the other is the I call it the leadership enthusiasm of organizations that had some leadership apathy and working together because they all have fidelity to their different approaches. And what the Communities of Excellence 2026 did is it created a fidelity to a cause, to improving the community's economic stability in terms of jobs or education and health and safety. And to me, I think them seeing of how we were pursuing our model of helping people live well and having a common approach that they could all relate to and communicate with, even as competitors, and drive greater outcomes, has been really a remarkable accomplishment, one that we're excited about and using now countywide. I think what the Communities of Excellence does is sets this kind of fertile ground where whatever your passion or the model of improvement, the process improvement you may be using for your organization, that it can all relate and come together in the understanding of how the pieces fit together. I consider it as more of a hub and spoke, is that in the past we had lots of different spokes that were kind of tying together, but each had their own kind of methodology of how to improve the community. And Communities of Excellence 2026 did. It created this hub and spoke. That they all coming together, really what the hub is the understanding of how we bring out improving lives and improving the community. And only doing so by understanding how we all operated together and how we led together, right? And how we implemented together and evaluated together. And I think that part is a model not just for San Diego, but really for the rest of the nation.
From your perspective, understanding how Baldrige works in the other categories, why do you think it's important that communities become another category of the award, the national award?
One of the reasons why I think Communities of Excellence needs to be a seventh category is as we see remarkable accomplishments of all of our past National Baldrige Award winners, is that they all live in communities. And every one of them would be the first to tell you their success is tied to the success of their community. Where people live, work, play, shop, age, the Baldrige Award winners do an exceptional job of where people work. But I think they would be the first to say that where people live, where people go to school, ties to their success. And so extending it outside the walls of the workplace into the community is the natural progression, evolution, if you will, of how we bring out excellence of our individual organizations and the entire community. And what excites me is having Baldrige Award winners who would now take the next challenge of how they take their operational excellence and what they've done, remarkable feats within their institutions and organizations and companies, and now apply that. And I think you would come to find many of them already are doing that, and therefore communities of excellence provides really that natural path forward for these organizations, and as well as other organizations that have not yet pursued the Bold Ridge, to consider then, as we've seen in our South region, as organizations realizing that what they were doing for the community would also benefit their individual organizations. So it's unidirectional, is that we know our strength in our community is the strength of our subunits, of our organizations and our people. And therefore